Sometimes change happens faster than you want it to, and sometimes it happens slower than you want it to. Hi, it's Nani, and welcome to Chronicles of Nani. It's my cyber coffee shop here on YouTube, where I discuss many things, but it includes the fact that I have progressive MS, and I'm in a wheelchair. I can't walk, I can't even stand. And I live with those challenges. I don't live in spite of them. I live with them, and I truly do live, because there's a whole world out there that I'm still part of. If you too have a chronic illness, or are in a wheelchair, or like me, you have a chronic illness and you're in a wheelchair, and you look at the world and you live your best life that you can. This is a great place to subscribe. But if you're not quite like that and you're facing those challenges and you want to figure out a way to find the happy, this is also a good place to subscribe. And if you have close friend, family member, if you just also live in this world and you want to get to know people and not be afraid of people just because they're using assistive devices, this is also a good place to subscribe. First and foremost, I record in the morning, so it's my cyber coffee shop, because without my coffee, I'm not going to get through the end of it. So I'm going to have coffee. Today's coffee is in my Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts coffee mug. Earlier this month, it's September of 2022, if you're watching this after the premiere date, because the premiere date is the last day of September 2022. Earlier in September of this year, Specs Howard, the founder of the school, passed away. When I went to Specs Howard, my first day there, I met Specs. I think as pretty much everybody did, because he came in and addressed our class on the first day. And on that first day, he had everybody in the class stand up and introduce themselves to the class and tell us why you decided to come to Specs Howard. When it came to me, I introduced myself, and I said, I chose Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts because it's an 8-month program and plumbing school is a 9-month program. It made everybody, including Specs, laugh. That sort of defined my personality going forward, but it was a pleasure to be able to say that, yeah, I can make a comment like that, and the owner of the school laughed at the comment, because the work that I did, I made it pretty obvious that I never really even thought about going to plumbing school, that Specs is where I wanted to be. Specs Howard passed in the beginning of September 2022 at 96 years old. My friend and I were talking about it, and things change. Sometimes change is good, sometimes change is bad, sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow. But things change all the time. I personally think change is good. But like I said, sometimes it's faster than you wanted it to be, and sometimes slower than you wanted it to be. I think when someone leaves this world, it's always too soon. If it's somebody that dies young and they leave behind potential, so much that they could have done, that they're not able to do because they passed young, and the things that they could have done are not there. By the same token, someone who lives a long time, someone who lives 96 years, still passed too soon, because there are stories. They have so many things that they've accomplished, so many things that can help other people, things to tell. And there are people that haven't heard everything that they have to tell. So in your 90s is still dying too soon, because there are people that can learn from your experience and they can't anymore. Now, there are other things that change, that we're not talking about the end or beginning of life. Remember that I've taken 3 weeks off because I needed to change some things and I needed a break so that I could make those changes. And in 3 weeks, I was going to get somebody to come in and clean things up and organize things in my house so that my house was uncluttered, and so that it would be safe and I could actually get a home health aide to come in and help me. So I would be safer and cleaner, and they would feel safe being here, and I would be able to look around my house and not feel depressed by looking at how much the house looks like it needs to be fixed. So I in 3 weeks was thinking, okay, I'm going to get all this started. And I did get things started in those 3 weeks. They're in progress now, which is a good thing. But that goes back to sometimes change happens faster than you want it to, and sometimes it happens slower than you want it to. Yesterday, my wheelchair guru was in after having called about a week and a half ago, and it was on a Friday, and he gave me a phone call just to set my weekend off on a good foot, to tell me that insurance had passed everything and everything was clear and the order for my wheelchair had been put in. And he said, often that means the wheelchair is ready in about a week. There are supply chain issues right now, so it may be a little longer. He said, don't quote me on the week. But it was about a week and a half. And he was in yesterday with the new wheelchair. That was on my list number 2 of things that I really needed to get accomplished. So that's something to check off the list. And he came in yesterday with the new wheelchair. And my husband actually took the second half of the day working on work from home so that he could assist with using the Hoyer lift and getting me in the new wheelchair. Unfortunately, I was kind of crooked in the recliner to begin with, and I landed crooked in the wheelchair. And as much as they tried to work, and my wheelchair guru, who knows what he's doing, what needs to be done, was trying to get me rolled over and get me in the more comfortable position, so that honestly, so that my right arm wasn't falling off the armrest and making it impossible for me to use the joystick on the wheelchair. And we were doing okay with that, and he was showing me how things were different and things were even improved on the wheelchair, on the new wheelchair. And that was kind of exciting. But then I started having a sciatic nerve issue. And my husband was trying to get my leg turned to get the sciatic nerve to calm down, and it wasn't working. And I was in a lot of pain. So at that point, my wheelchair guru says, okay, we're not going to be able to finish this today because I'm not going to put you in more pain. Now, he doesn't have a ton of extra time this week, and we're going into next week and having 2 wheelchairs in the house, which my husband's not crazy about that idea, simply because 2 wheelchairs in the house is not big enough for 2 wheelchairs. And you can't really just drive one certainly not the brand new chair and stick it in the garage. So they made a deal that this afternoon, my guru is going to call my husband, and then they're going to send me a text saying, okay, we're on our way and we're going to finish customizing your chair today. So I'm excited about that. That goes back to I was thinking that insurance was going to take about 3 months to actually getting the chair. That's not uncommon. For them to go through prerequisite calls and talking to my doctor and talking to the mobility specialist that's creating the chair. And this was less than a month that it took for the insurance to say, okay, makes sense, she needs this. Shocking, good shocking. Like I said, sometimes things happen faster than you expect, and that's a good thing. It sort of puts you in that position of, okay, this is a good thing, but now I've got to keep up with it. But so I got the new wheelchair, and my guru and husband are going to be making arrangements to come in this afternoon and finish fitting the wheelchair for me. So by the end of the day today, I should have a working new wheelchair.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Back to things that happen too fast, too slow, different than you planned on. My husband and I went to the last Mud Hens home game for this year last weekend. It took a little longer than originally planned to get me dressed and get me in the wheelchair. he pulled the wheelchair van in up to in front of the driveway so that I could get in the car. And I got in the car, and we got me strapped down and closed the door. And he got in, and he went to start the car, and he hit start on the start key on the car, and it went click, 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 click. Now, mind you, he'd already started the van and moved it so I could get in it. So there was no reason for the engine and the battery to suddenly say, nope, not starting. He's got a battery charger unit that he has not been able to make work before. So he tried the battery charger unit. For the first time since he's bought it, it actually worked. And he hooked it up, and he hit the key, and the motor started right up. So we finally get to the field to see the Mudhens game. It's the third inning when we got there. Things happened slower than you wanted them to. But we did get in to see the game from the third inning. So we're watching the game, and it gets to the ninth inning, and the game is tied with 2 outs and a 4-4 tie. Cody Clemens was up, bases were loaded, and 2 outs. Their last home game of the season, the Mudhens won by a walk-off wild pitch. Not something you see all the time, and it was just certainly wild pitch. The runner on third gets to home, crosses home plate, game is over, Hens won. Things changing sometimes happens faster than we wanted to, especially for those of us that have lots of stories to tell. That is that if you're young and you've got lots of potential, you learn things, the new things that change all the time. You learn them faster, and they're part of your everyday life. If you have lots of stories to tell, like me, it's dealing with the change. And I learned how to use an app that I already had on my phone that I thought, well, that's something I'm never going to use. Learned how to use it because our tickets for the baseball game were on my phone. And I learned how to use that wallet app on my phone to get the tickets. And this is great. I can do this. It's easy. So we were able to get in just by scanning my phone, and well, that was pretty cool. And as a result of doing that and having that experience, then a couple days later, I'm making a phone call to book a bus ride on paratransit. And now you can pay for your bus rides with an app that's something similar to EasyPass. But you get this app, you make sure that your card is filled, and then after you do that, it's as simple as you have the UPC open on your app, and when you get on the bus, you show the bus driver that, they scan it, and your ride is paid for. Pretty cool. So now I'm looking at all sorts of different things that, are there other apps that make things so much easier? Because teach me one little thing that makes things easier. And now it's like, okay, I'm realizing that I have lots of stories to tell, but I have lots of new things to learn. And things aren't moving so fast that I can't deal with them. I learn one thing and I can do a lot of other things, and that helps. It's important to love and respect the generations above you and the generations below you, to be able to say there are wonderful things that everybody has to offer. And I do believe that that's true. So it's pretty cool to have learned so much in the past few days. Sometimes things change and you don't have control over how fast or slow things change. But you have to roll with the punches. You have to keep up with things that are changing faster and wait for things that are changing slower. And if you have lots of stories to tell, like I do, at middle age, there's still a lot to learn as things are changing faster. And if I can have my stories to tell and I can learn new things, I'm pretty much close to perfect, right? Or it's a good thing for us all to strive for. And that's going to be the end of our conversation for today. Chronicles of Nani premieres every Friday at 8 o'clock in the morning. You can join me in person for coffee then, or you can have coffee with me anytime, 24/7. Watch one episode, watch lots of different Chronicles of Nani, and I will definitely see you next week, and thanks for watching, and have a great week.